a totally made-up sorority created from the irritation at the average population of local sororities, jealousy, and indignation at the very existence of hazing. When we decided to make up our own, it was as if our lives became spinning tops. Jo made a list of everything she thought we should do, from legal to less than. By the time she finished, every day of our summer was jam-packed. We started our adventures in Walmart, as one does. She was obsessed with a song that says, "Make your thighs like butter, easy to spread, so we can make sandwiches." It was horrible and great, and the catchiest song that wasn't a song. Naturally, she wanted to make a photographic music video. That's Jo for you. A young woman with many stories to tell, more energy than 15 people combined, an adventurous spirit that I expect took her around the world, a very expensive taste in jeans, and an even weirder sense of humor. Around the store we went, taking pictures of butter and mayo and bread. It was ridiculous and had very YA energy. Although we didn't have that phrase back then. If I had, I imagine it would have been the summer we overused it. Every moment would have had a new kind of energy, compared to something fantastic. That first night, for instance, would have had a breathless energy. We snuck into the pool to go skinny dipping. Turquoise lights lit up everything, despite it not being open, and we were fully exposed. I'd seen her naked, she'd seen me naked. That was different though. That was washing off sand from sweaty burnt bodies so we could rush to dinner. Normal teenage things. Under a 2 a.m. June haze, we were transformed. We were best friends being freed by cool water rushing between sun-kissed thighs, each wondering if we should ask the other how it felt or just let our hearts race quietly to ourselves on opposite sides of the pool. I don't know who suggested it first, but we did that. Swam languid laps and tried to keep the soft noises to ourselves. It was a peaceful hour where I lost myself in sensations that made me want a pool one day, until we heard yelling. Someone was coming. Our clothes in hand, we raced to the car. We only wore our bathing suit bottoms as she drove back to her house, and I kept thinking, this is when we get pulled over, because that is how these things happen. Instead, we just stayed high on our adrenaline rushes, sneaking sideways glances at each other whenever the highway street lamps illuminated our shapes. There was no going back then. We knew we couldn't just go shopping or wandering around the neighborhood. Our list had to change because we had. We went from, just going to go dancing to dancing on the bar at the club. Men twice our age grabbed at our ankles and almost knocked us over like we were in Coyote Ugly. They wanted to sneak us drinks, see how far they could take things for our need for a rush. To avoid them, we hopped down, clasped hands, and walked towards the exit. When one tried to corner me, Jo pushed me against the wall and kissed me how I wanted her to kiss me in the pool. I felt it everywhere. At some point, the man left, but we were still kissing. The song changed, but we were still kissing. Finally, she stepped backwards, interlaced my fingers with hers, and dragged me out of that honky-tonk meets hip-hop bar we had no business being in. Jo had wanted to show me where artists and taggers go to legally spray paint things at North Carolina State University. During the day, that was the thing on the list. Instead, we went at night with cans of fancy, expensive spray paint she spent way too much money on. It was a tunnel akin to the places in horror movies where monsters drag children to devour them, chucking only their skull and spines out. When she shined light from her flashlight on the walls, though, it was magnificent. There were beautifully painted geishas, smoking blunts, stick figures fucking, signatures and quotes from books, healing paint everywhere. I spray painted a bleeding heart and signed a name that wasn't mine. I was, yet again, free. We went to a party where both Jo and my sister got crazy drunk. I couldn't handle them both, so I had to call my dad. He made them stay in the truck bed so they wouldn't vomit on his upholstery. It was hilarious. These are the kinds of moments that we shared. on a regular basis that summer. Joe's friend told us to meet her at these guys' dorms rooms. We would all smoke a little and then go to this party. It was just the kind of thing that would keep our adrenaline going. We showed up and there were 3 guys. 3 of them, 3 of us. Only her friend and I smoked before the paranoia set in. Her friend ran away, while I found a dorm that was luckily open. I guess it was being cleaned, so I could hunker down and hide from the man boy following me. Joe came to my rescue. I know she punched someone and then we ran, but the in-between is fuzzy. I think there was an elevator. My dad was involved in that incident, too. The pot was laced with angel dust, he guesses, but we'll never know. Joe and I kissed a few more times. A lot more times. We also kissed a lot of other people. Strangers, friends, men, women, age appropriate, not so age appropriate. More happened, a lot more. Now it's just a whirlwind of moments and fragments. Joe crying and begging for help to get her expensive jeans off so she doesn't vomit on them. Beach days with flirting and seafood. A toothache from too much candy. The taste of someone's mouth on mine as they shotgun smoke and then kissed me stupid. I had a birthday in June. 4th of July would have come with sparklers and popsicles, hot dogs, and grilled corn. We started school in August, probably. Our hours at work would have had to pick up at some point, yet it still felt like summer. September came and we were still existing in the Zeta bubble. Each moment bled into the next until the meteor shower. We were curled up together. It was a chilly night. To the Pacific Northwest, it would be perfect, but our standards were different back then. A police car drove up just after we saw our 5th meteor. So yeah, I guess meteors did exist, but a shower it was not. The officer was condescending and judgmental. Surprise. Asking why we were out alone without boyfriends so far from the city. This time I came to Joe's rescue. I told the officer that she was my girlfriend and that we were just trying to enjoy the meteor showers. It was a nice way of telling him fuck off. I asked him if we were in a no trespassing area. He said no, but he clearly didn't believe we were together. And that's how I wound up doing to Joe what she did earlier in the year. I laid one on her to demonstrate. The police officer coughed a little, and I told him, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You know how young love is." He joked that he understood and that he'd been married for, I honestly don't know. I completely checked out and let him talk to himself. When he finally stopped talking, I tuned back in. He smiled and waved and drove off, and we smiled and waved and ignored him. So Joe asked if I thought we should go. She looked worried that he would come back. I shook my head. I said no. Let's just enjoy this a little